As soon as Alejandro saw the opportunity, with a quick movement of his head, he slammed his forehead into the guy's face. The guy let go of him for a moment and Alejandro ran. At that moment he received a knife wound in the side. He swayed for an instant and it was enough for the guy to catch him again. The guy picked him up and threw him on the bed as if he were made of paper. Alejandro turned to get out of bed on the other side, but the murderer jumped on top of him, almost immobilizing him. As he tried to get away, the guy put him on his back and when he tried to stop him, he felt Vanesa's boobs. "What is this? That's why we couldn't find you," he said with a menacing smile. "This is going to be a lot more fun than I imagined." Witness protection turned him into a girl. Part 11. At that moment Alejandro heard a shot and the guy fell on top of him. Special Agent Castello lowered her gun and approached to see if Vanesa was injured. "Are you okay, Vanesa?" At this moment, the woman, who had regained consciousness, ran into the hallway. Vanesa was getting up when they heard 2 shots from the hallway. "All clear." McLeod shouted from the hallway. "All clear." Castello shouted. "Call an ambulance." "I'm fine," Vanesa said, just before losing consciousness. Agent Castello put pressure on the wound. Vanesa woke up at the hospital. Her wound was not very serious but she had lost a lot of blood. The first thing she asked was if her identity had already been discovered. Castello told her that it had been the same couple who had been arrested on Saturday and that they were both dead, so her identity remained secret. From the hospital, they went straight to the safe house. There, under constant police surveillance and medical supervision, Vanesa recovered until Saturday. Special Agent Castello told her that they had been able to link several of those involved with the authorship of the attack, and that for this reason, the judge had given a 1-month recess before continuing the trial. They explained to Vanesa that the guards in the hallway had been drugged in some way, that when the agents arrived, the 2 guards were unconscious. On more than one occasion, the agents congratulated Vanesa for having resisted the attack and because, even unarmed, she was able to knock out one, and seriously injure the other attacker. "You look so small and delicate. And what a beating you gave them. You broke the guy's nose and she was knocked out when I arrived," said Special Agent Castello. By Friday, the wound had healed and Vanesa was tired of not being able to go out or do anything. On Sunday morning the stylist arrived to put in the extensions and nails. At noon, Vanesa was ready to return to her apartment. As soon as she arrived, she spent time preparing her clothes for the week. She didn't want to call her friends, she needed time to think about everything that had happened. Special Agents Castello and McLeod had seen it as a prank, but security failed and this time, they nearly killed him. "My life ends like this and then, what? I hadn't done anything. I had not traveled even remotely as much as I want, I had not had a real couple, I had not fallen in love, I did not know if at least my mother would feel my death and, at 16 years old, I had hardly been happy," he said to himself. He could remember some happy days in his childhood, especially with his dad, and then, trying to remember happy times, some moments with Kim and Kathy came to mind. The rehearsals for the play, that day when they bought the dress, and the ride to their apartment in Brian's arms. After thinking about it, it was clear to him that at any moment life ends. He promised himself to enjoy every day. He had never wanted to be a woman, he had never felt attracted to a man before, but, at least for the moment, his happiest moments were as Vanesa and nothing caused her more excitement than going to the dance with Brian. On Monday she woke up early and consciously, she enjoyed every moment, from going to bathe, removing all traces of body hair, choosing from her wardrobe the most beautiful and feminine outfit of all. Youthful but sexy, just some makeup, a little eyeliner to accentuate the expression of her eyes, very discreet shadows, a little blush to give life to her face and lipstick. She looked in the mirror and reviewed every detail. She wanted to look good for Brian. At school all her friends welcomed her, Kim and Kathy hugged her and made her feel loved. The first hours of class passed before meeting Brian. When he saw her, on the other side of the hallway, he ran towards her, hugged her, picked her up and spun her around in the air. For a moment she felt like a little doll. She had never felt so valued. Vanessa responded to the hug with a big smile and a kiss on the cheek. "You are back," Brian said. "Are you staying here for the fall ball? How is your grandmother?" "Yes, I think so. Unless something unexpected happens, I'll be here for a few weeks before having to return to Texas." Normal classes continued. Vanessa had a little trouble catching up with science and math class, but going back to theater rehearsals and being with her friends was worth it. From that week on, she began to enjoy the rehearsals 100%. The costumes that they had not been able to get at the mall, they had ordered online, so they already had all the typical skirts from the 50s, with crinolines, short socks with ruffles and even the pointed bras of the time. When she put the whole outfit on for the first time, she was delighted with the result. She looked super feminine and felt prettier than ever. Brian's reaction to her outfit helped make her feel beautiful and validated. That day they had not seen each other during class hours and the rehearsal had started a few minutes when Vanessa came out of the locker room with her skirt and her entire outfit. Brian stayed still for a moment looking at her with a smile, unable to say anything. "What? Do I look ridiculous with all this?" Vanessa asked, a little embarrassed. "Of course not. You are like a princess from a fairy tale. Radiant and charming." Vanessa couldn't help but smile as she felt herself melting. For a moment she tried to tell herself that she wasn't really a girl and that she shouldn't feel that way about a boy, but her emotion was too strong to resist. Then she remembered what she had learned over the weekend. Life was too short not to enjoy every opportunity. She stopped questioning herself and simply focused on the essay. "Vanessa, have you been practicing? You look different." "Different? How is that?" "I don't know," said the teacher. "I can't point out exactly what it is, but your movements are more fluid. I see you more happy. Keep it up." "Thanks, miss." The rehearsal ended and they all went to eat at the pizzeria. For Vanessa, that first day of being at school, at rehearsals and with her friends, just on what seemed like a normal day, was very representative. She was really paying attention to her emotions, and although there was nothing special, it was a school day like any other, she was able to admit that she simply felt happy. Anyway, not everything was certain. That week, applications for admission and scholarships had begun to be sent to universities throughout the country. In conversations they had, they insisted on searching and identifying their vocation, because eventually, the decision they made would most likely affect the rest of their life. Teachers explained to them that a high percentage of school dropouts were related to a poor career choice, but that in addition, many young people who did finish a career that they did not choose correctly, never pursue it or end up underemployed. In that talk, teachers explained to them that the choice of professional career should be personal, that the expectations of family or friends should not be taken into account but rather what can make you happy, because it is for life. All of his classmates were worried about that issue, choosing a career, some out of true passion for a subject, others to avoid what they didn't like, and others simply had no idea what to do. Alejandro always wanted a creative career. For years he had hesitated between graphic design, industrial design or even architecture, but he had never seen life from the perspective he had now, and in one of the vocational orientation interviews, they suggested interior or fashion design. The idea didn't sound bad, but it wasn't even remotely his biggest concern for the future, nor, as it was for everyone else, the most important decision he had to make in the coming months. Vanessa knew that she had asked to finish the school year and that in the end she was going to need surgery, either to become Alejandro again and live the rest of her life as a man, or to remain as Vanessa. She had really enjoyed those months as a girl, the thousand new and different ways of expressing herself that she had discovered by living as a woman, close, feeling pretty and even desired. In some ways, as Vanessa she felt freer. And her emotions were much more intense. On the other hand, she was afraid that all that joy was just due to the luck of having found a group of friends like the one she had. And the most important thing, that although she really liked how Brian treated her and she enjoyed his company, she actually knew that she had never felt attracted to a man. How could she live forever as a woman? Faced with all these doubts, like a good teenager, she decided to postpone any decision and dedicate the rest of the week to the topic on which everyone was distracted. The autumn dance. It seemed like an irresponsible attitude, but for Alejandro, that dance could hold the key to his future. On Thursday afternoon, the girls went to the salon for a makeup and hair trial. For Vanessa, it was something new, spending the afternoon with her friends experimenting with different looks with the sole objective of looking and feeling pretty. She enjoyed it much more than she could imagine. When she arrived at her apartment, she had dinner and spent hours unable to sleep. She was restless, she couldn't relax. She got up to check that the door was closed properly, but she knew that she wasn't really worried about her safety. It was something else, but she couldn't define it. She tried to think about Ziva and she even thought about calling her, but the truth is, she didn't know what to say to her and she didn't even want to talk to her that much. Then Brian appeared in her mind. She turned on the television to distract herself, but still felt restless. After a while she got tired of not watching anything on television and went to bathe. She took the opportunity to shave her legs and her entire body. After drying off, she checked to make sure everything was ready for Friday. Her dress, the lingerie she was going to wear, her cosmetics, her accessories. Then she had to admit that what was keeping her awake was nothing other than the excitement of the dance and, perhaps, about going with Brian. It wasn't easy for her to recognize that emotion because she had never felt this way before, at least never for a man, and as far as she knew, she only liked women, but this emotion was new. She put moisturizing cream all over her body and convinced herself that it was just about the dance, but above all, that she needed to sleep because she definitely didn't want to look haggard and sleepless the next day. She finally slept. That night's dream, far from giving him rest or tranquility, generated more confusion. She woke up in an unfamiliar room. The bed was large and comfortable, the room was well lit and finely decorated. She sat in the center of the bed and could see that it was a couple's room. In a bureau, there were men's things, a wallet, a watch, the television control, some coins and a pair of pens. In the other, women's things. At that time, in the dream she could not see her body. There was also a dressing table with a mirror and mostly women's things, perfumes, cosmetics, a jewelry box. Just one corner had some things that could be a man's. There was also a window, a large screen, and a door, which, for some reason, she knew led to the dressing room and the bathroom. Out of curiosity, she got out of bed and went to the window. She still couldn't see her body. From the window you could see a large garden that ended in a lake surrounded by mountains. The landscape was spectacular. For a moment she was lost looking at the reflection of the mountains and the lake until a couple of little voices brought her out of contemplation. "Mom, Mom. Have you woken up yet? Mom?" She thought, "So I'm a man and I'm married?" Then two beautiful girls, 6 and 4 years old, entered. "Happy Mother's Day," the girls said and ran to hug her. She then bent down to hug them and she could see that she was wearing a pink nightgown. The girls dragged her to the bed and jumped on top of her to hug her. "Happy day to the best mom in the world." Vanessa hugged the girls and felt indescribable happiness, like only a mother, when hugging her daughters, could feel. "Dad. My mom woke up. Bring her gift." She heard footsteps coming up the stairs and when the door began to open, she woke up. She was in her apartment, For a moment she looked for the girls around her, then, with some disappointment she realized that everything had just been a dream. That's all for today. If you like this story, please comment, tell me what do you think should happen with Vanessa. Also, please like and subscribe.